I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. and ask the city clerk to read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act into the record.
This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act with notice provided to the Huntington County Democrat, the Trenton Times, and members on the listserv. The meeting agenda provides action items known at the time of publication and is subject to change. This meeting is being recorded and streamed live using the Zoom meeting platform. Roll call.
Yes, please.
Councilwoman Kaminsky. Here. Councilman Lyde.
Here.
Councilman Stegman.
Here.
Mayor Noack.
Yes.
And just want to note for the record that Council President Lambert is absent tonight.
Thank you. So good evening and welcome everyone. We'll begin this evening as we always do by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask that we remain standing for a moment of silence in appreciation of everyone who has just been newly elected this week. They worked well from where it seems. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the one nation, indivisible, with right. Next, we see that. We begin this evening with swearing in of a new police officer, Nicole Berry. I'm delighted to have you here in the city, and it's always a great honor for me to welcome a new member of the Lambertville Police Department. So I'll come down, and if you could join me, Nicole. Somewhere over here. Nancy always the password down. Is this good, Matthew?
Yeah.
Okay, so raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Nicole Berry,
I, Nicole Berry,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and the governments established
and the government established
in the United States and in the state,
in the United States and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of police officer
all the duties of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Howard, you guys want to come down? Get the council in. Sam, do you want to join us? Yes. Good thing. Right here. You come out.
Oh, there. All right. My head is like kind of full.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Happy to have you, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, can you, if you could just sign over here? It's good to see all you officers. Sorry, particularly. Hello, see ya. All right. I thought it was long. We'll begin public participation session. So this is a time when the public is invited to speak. Once you have mobility issues, we ask you to step up to the microphone here. You have 3 minutes of uninterrupted time for comments or questions. And then Lindsay will keep an eye on the time and let you know when you've got 30 seconds left. Anybody in the public wish to make a comment this evening? Ask a question?
That's Tittle 33 Wilson Street. Just a couple of questions, and then, first is there a timeline on the agreement on affordable housing? With K-Hub 80, I mean, I know you're not at least talking to them yet, but the timeline when the public's gonna see it, how far along we are, and when will that be available? And any update on the parking lot and the tree issue from last meeting? Curious. I did look at the site and looks like you could replace, I mean, I was a landscaper back in college, but it looks like you could place the boxes and make them larger and still have plenty of room for parking because you go towards the street. And then, I saw the master plan is on for discussion, and one of the things I think you would need to do is sort of ahead of time is actually do a real build out and capacity analysis to know what your zoning actually does and what the capacity of it is, so you kind of know where you need to make fixes. For instance, when I was in Greenwood, we had an area by the reservoir zone for light industrial, and you could, there were a valley there, because there's no limits on the size of the factories. There's no highways or sewers, but they never get built, but just as an example. And then, as we're waiting for those things to move forward, I really think that the town has to start working on some of the ordinances that are already a problem, like parking. I mean, we're allowing development to happen with no parking, or with these magic formulas where, you know, you switch one thing to another and you gain, you know, extra parking, even though there's still no parking for the facility. And, you know, we're heading into a parking crisis in this town. I mean, people are parking everywhere, and, you know, it's getting worse, and we keep adding more and more uses and more businesses and houses without adequate parking. And I think we're going to be buried by all the traffic and people trying to park in different places, including illegally, like in my driveway. And then on trees, I really think that we need to update the tree ordinance. You know, I worked on the Jackson tree ordinance, it was upheld by the Supreme Court, and it required a developer when cutting down trees to replace everything they take down for trees, and they had to replace, I mean, each paying to a fund, they actually had to find places, they had to do it, so it doesn't get wasted on something else. I really think they need to start doing anything like that because of what's gonna happen in the hill. And also because we have a very small town with very few trees, and we need to figure out a way to actually green our city better, and I think that would be an important way of doing it. And then the final piece is, I think, you know, given what's happening at the state level on stormwater, we need to start updating our own, because there's amendments to the stormwater ordinances that would allow affordable housing and builders remedy type developments and flood zones and wetlands and other things, which I think would be horrible for multiple reasons. One, you're going to end up having two classes of environment, one for wealthy people on dry land and one for poor people in a swamp with black mold and getting flooded. So anyway, I just wanted to.
Thank you. The redevelopment agreement, we were due to talk about this evening at closed session. We had to cancel the closed session because the council president's unable to attend tonight. My expectation is that we'll have that agreement done and sent off to KHOW by the end of the month. Council are submitting comments, and we're still working through it. Most of my own personal kind of recommendations have already been incorporated. So I'm hoping that my expectation is that will be sent to KHOW by the end of the month. There's no update on the project at the North Union Street parking lot. I've asked the council president to sort of take over that project. She's been busy with other things. We haven't had a chance to talk about it. So certainly will be something that we talk about in the future. Master plan, we'll talk a little bit about this tonight. I just wanted to keep it on the agenda more than anything else. You know, both council members down here have agreed to sort of help spearhead the effort. And really, I just wanted to kind of keep it up front and center. And obviously, we'll be taking a look at everything that's part of that parking ordinances, zoning. I'll talk a little bit about that when we introduce the subject tonight. The Shade Tree Commission, They did amend the ordinance a couple of years ago after a very lengthy period of kind of analysis. So certainly, if there are changes that you would propose, I think it would be worthwhile to go and speak to the Shade Tree Commission specifically. That's really the place to start with proposed amendments. And I'll just note that, we did get a grant and we talked about this in 2023 to do an inventory that's on the website. So you can just look at every single shade tree in the city on the website. It'll give you the health of the tree, the approximate age of the tree, the species. It was a great grant to get, and it was a lot of legwork for the contractor to do. So that's a really great resource. And city's always planting trees. Parks and Rec, just contacted me today about planting more trees on the uphills on the uphill side of the Ely Creek. They planted probably a couple of dozen trees on Music Mountain just in the last few weeks. So I give Marion Boers a lot of credit for working with Shadowland Conservancy, in particular for always planting trees. So we've got a lot of them coming in, and hopefully, that will continue, especially in those areas that have been so negatively impacted with the loss of the ash trees. Yeah, thank you. So working on that, and just in terms of the stormwater and the affordable housing, that's something we're mindful of. I don't really have any comment about that tonight, but it's obviously something that's a conversation at local levels and at the state level. So. Anyone else in the room? Anyone online? Okay.
Beth, you want to go ahead?
Yes, hi, everybody. Beth O'Brien, 2 Hancock Street. Mayor Noack, did I hear you say that you would be submitting the agreement with the developer by the end of this month, meaning November? And will the public have an opportunity to see what the negotiations parameters are before you actually give it to the developer?
Yes, I will be sending my plan is to send the agreement to Care Union by the end of the month. And no, not the initial, the public won't have access to the initial, that initial document. We talked about it with the city attorney. We will talk about it in the public forum, but we want to send the agreement off to KHOB, and they'll probably mark it up and send edits back. So we have promised to have an open conversation about that, but not before KHOB sees it.
All right, thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, did you ask for the people up on the hill to send us ideas or concerns so we can incorporate at the next meeting?
Yeah, well, I encourage people all throughout the process to send in ideas. So, and we incorporated some of, as I said to Beth last time, some of your ideas into it, and some of the other ideas that have been sent to us from other people in the community. So yeah, I absolutely encourage anybody to send me anything that they think should be incorporated, and happy to discuss it with the city attorney, and then respond whether I think it's something that can be included or maybe even has been included. I don't want to get into too many specifics about what we're sending, first go around now. So we absolutely welcome ideas.
Okay.
Anyone else online? How many people do we have online?
7.
So, all right, welcome online folks. So it looks like I'll make a motion to close the public comment period. May I have a second?
So,
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. So next this evening, we're going to have squad, Lisa, Aaron, Councilor this evening. So we can talk a little bit more about the function and the work of the squad over the last few months. The squad's been sending the council reports, which we've incorporated the reports and the council meetings, and always happy to share it kind of beyond council meetings. We have included some information from time to time in landfill matters, and if anybody ever has any questions, they can contact me or Chief Schneider. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Chief. You're welcome to step up and Is this a comfortable place for you to speak?
Sure.
Okay.
Just give Lindsay a minute while she.
Absolutely.
Do a slideshow. She's great.
I just want to take a minute and thank the mayor and council for allowing us to present tonight. And as always, if there is ever a question for Rescue Squad, feel free to reach out to myself. Anytime, I'm local, so you can find me, Hill or anywhere you get to. We do have a little presentation, so I just work, and that's about us. Please,
The next one to receive. Councilor.
I don't know where my switches are at home.
That's good.
Hi, I'm Lisa Aaron. I'm the president of Orlando People Ambulance and Neverville Ambulance and Rescue Squad.
Can you get closer to the mic?
I've been trying is
You're gonna have to,
not word.
yeah,
Okay. Is that a little bit better or no?
go for it.
You want me to just? So anyway, all right, so we have a night, about who we are, what we do. So we can go to the next slide. Right. Okay, who are we? We are a unique rural state certified squad, meaning we have EMTs who are certified in New Jersey as well as Pennsylvania. We have paid and volunteer EMTs. We have a youth squad program, a marine rescue program, and canine search and rescue teams. Our chief is a volunteer, president, me, I am a volunteer. Our vice president, assistant treasurer, and our secretary are also volunteers. One of our ambulances is staffed 24/7, and it is based out of the Eagle. One of them is based out of the Eagle Fire Department in New Hope from 10 to 6. The other is staffed at our Lambertville station. Next slide, please. Okay. So we're going to see some facts and data, but wanted to share a few words directly from our members. Their stories say more about who we are than any chart or number ever could. From Michael, a 10+ year volunteer. After retiring from a long and fulfilling career in education, I decided to become an EMT as a way to continue giving back to my community. Teaching allowed me to help others learn and grow. And now, through emergency medical services, I can help people in moments of real need. Volunteering as an EMT has been a deeply rewarding opportunity. It allows me to make a direct positive impact on others' lives while continuing to serve with purpose and compassion. We have another one here from Shirley, who's been a part of the squad for over 50 years and is a lifelong Lambertville resident. The squad is a second family to me. I started as a youth squad member in 1972. I enjoyed learning first aid and being part of the team. Most of all, I wanted to help people in need. Another one here from Jack, who got to start as a youth squad member and stepped up to the senior squad as soon as he turned 18. I do what I can with the Lambertville New Hope Ambulance and Rescue Squad because just like every resident we serve in our local areas, my family and I are included. The care and operations provided on a daily basis are not easy to do, but I am proud to be part of an organization that is for the community as much as the squad is. And finally, we hear from Pat, a member of over 60 years, whose family name is well known in Lambertville and whose father is the namesake of this building. I have always felt that helping others in need is something I should be doing. EMS gave me that opportunity to serve. When I first got involved with the squad as a young boy of 16, the red light, siren, and emergency vehicles were an exciting aspect of the emergency services. Eventually, I came to realize that giving aid to people in need was what it was all about. Serving my community is an important part of my life. That is why I continue to do whatever I can for the Lambertville New Hope Ambulance and Rescue Squad. Sure.
Sorry, it's awkward.
Yeah, see you guys.
All right,
All right, so a little facts about the squad. So we are a BLS squad, and you see a little further what that means, or basic life support versus advanced life support. As Lisa did say, we are staffed 24 hours a day with 2 MTs. And from that 10 to 1800, 10 to 6 p.m., we do have 4 AMTs on 2 separate ambulances, which we relocate around to get the best coverage. We do that because that obviously is the busier time. We have all called in that window. We are dual state certified, which means that every EMT has to be certified in PA and New Jersey, which is double CEUs, double training. And some of the protocols are different, so that's a twist of things. We've been blessed that many of our EMTs have moved on to become paramedics and nurses, and a lot of them still do ride with us part-time. So the level of care we often get from our BLS ambulance is far more than that. Next slide, please. So a little history. So the Ambulance Association formed 1927. In the late 70s, it merged with the Liberal Rescue Squad. And then in 85, we added New Hope into our name to reflect all the areas that we cover. As you can read there, I'm not gonna read all that, we have a huge area that we do cover, including New Hope and into Salisbury Township and Pennsylvania, and obviously all around the south end of Hunter County. The youth squad program has been in place since 1961. I myself started it in the 80s. And we do, obviously, the school districts that feed that youth squad, New Hope and South Hunter, Salisbury School. And we do have actually kids that come from even further out. And again, many of those become nurses and paramedics. So it's almost 100 years we've been here doing that survey. In fact, we were one of the first 3 squads in Bucks County back in the day. One of the things that you'll see here, an article that was Mr. Burt, who's in our audience tonight, actually spoke in this article back in '85. We were the first in Hunter County to start to pay our staff. We realized the daytime call, the daytime assignments were difficult for folks to leave work. So, and obviously the volunteers were all working. So we came on with 2 members that were running as a paid staff, and then, you know, that's evolved into a whole different academy. Today we have about 30 employees, and we are paid, you know, with our career staff on majority of the time. There is about 3 volunteers that ride to help fill that void. We're hoping to get some more into that, to help offset some of that cost. It's expensive. That's the one downfall we know with employees. It's about $1,000 per day if you take our loaded cost of employees to stay at those ambulances. And obviously, the equipment is just like everything else. The prices are going through the roof. So the prices of all the equipment's out of control. Unfortunately, we have been in the red in several years. In 2019 and 22, we were blessed with some of the COVID monies to help offset as many businesses were to get us out of that point. Thank goodness we've had some very generous donations in the past to help, so that at least we had the savings to back that up. Continue to staff. You can see the great increase in cost, 40% increases since 2020. COVID really took a hard shadow on anything emergency, anything medical. Nobody wanted to be in an ambulance during COVID. So we lost a lot of folks and had to bring some new in. And there was a big gap in the folks that would even go to get certified. Our funding, about 50% or less, comes from municipal funding. We are not tax supported. Like I said, everything comes from our billing income and more donations during our fund drive. The billing income, just to give you some roll numbers. So our payroll is, we expect it to be about 750,000 this year. Our billing income is around 565,000. Billing income, unfortunately, is out of our control. It depends on insurance companies, what they're doing for Medicare and Medicaid. So that's where we really run into something there. Proceed next. So as I mentioned before, what's the difference? So a BLS ambulance is what you see on the street. We come out, we can transport, we can do all the things you see on the left there, and that's pretty much everything emergency medicine. What the ALS component brings, and that's the little, and you see the little white Suburban that comes out. Hunter Medical Center brings out. They can do things like IV therapy. They can do intubation and some advanced things, but we cover all that. We do the transportation on that side. The reason this slide is here is so important. We went through earlier this year, Central Bucks Ambulance in Pennsylvania, who we've worked with for years, in that same component they would bring their ALS unit into us. They are now They now brought in a transport unit, so we lost some call volume, what we could transfer in Silver Township, so again, that's a little bit of an income loss for us. We're working with Newport Borough and Silver Township to continue to be there and hopefully get back in the same capacity we once were. Next slide, please. Some statistics. You can see the call volume is increasing, and we do forecast that to continue. Obviously, 25, we're not at the end of the year yet. Our volume may be slightly lower with that Salisbury Township change. The Leonardville City calls are on the right-hand side. You can see that volume stays around the same as well. You know, obviously, we can't forecast. So 448 calls so far. This just shows, as we talked about that relocation into Pennsylvania with the second unit over there, we have 402 calls come out of Landville because obviously that's where we're at most of the time, 41 in Landville. That just shows some of the response times into the areas, and these are averages across all the calls. So some may be a little bit more, some may be a little bit less. We were in a pilot program, or we are in a pilot program. As we talk, one thing you're going to hear conversation about a lot more in the future with emergency medicine, with the decrease in volunteerism, the squads that are volunteer are starting to really struggle. So we were in a pilot program. We were relocating an ambulance at Amwell Valley or Station 48, which is in Ringgoes, for a couple hours during the day and trying to see how that worked. That is actually coming to an end. So we're going to take that data, bring it back. Councilman Kaminsky and I had a really nice conversation talking about regionalization and what that looks like. You know, one of the things that I'd like to continue on is to look at the all the municipal levels, the county level, and even at the state level to try to get some funding support for that. We have equipment and we have staff, but unfortunately, as I said, it's very expensive. So if we can find some more funding, I think we can help to solve some of these coverage areas around the county. Go to the next slide. Okay, this is more just statistical data. It shows the type of calls in October and this year, January to October 25. If anybody's any questions about those, there's kind of self-explanatory. I think it's broken in the type of call that it is. Obviously, they're all ambulance calls. So, and it shows one of the things that you'll see. So here, so that doesn't quite reflect it. So we may have 400 calls, but we may not transport 400 calls. If there could just be a lift assist, could be somebody that doesn't necessarily need to go, could be an overdose that we use Narcan and they come out of it, or a diabetic where they just need the extra sugar to bring themselves back. Any of those calls, they're not billable calls. So that's income. That's not income loss, but it's not income we're able to gather from that. Again, our focus is always the patient. We will always go, but we just have to work on how we're going to pay. Any questions on any of the data that's there? If you guys could see that very well from right now. Okay. So we just received a replacement ambulance. The one we got rid of in 2015 had 130,000 on it. And that unit will be in service by the end of the month. We have to be licensed both states, so we have to go through all that process. Just an idea of some costs. I mentioned price once there. So the thing you see on the top right, that's the CPR mannequin, but that device is a electronic CPR device. It'll actually do compressions on, well, not on, I don't know, but obviously on people as necessary. They're very expensive, and we have two of them. They're about $20,000 a piece. The batteries have to be replaced. 4 batteries for them. There's your price. We have a main battery and backup battery. The AEDs are external defibrillators we have. They're due for batteries again. See all the price points there. CO detectors on our bags. Suction batteries, stretcher batteries. We have power loading systems, and then those flights again. They're just some idea of what the costs are. There's some equipment. So in conclusion, that's obviously, there's a lot to the squad, a lot of things moving on, moving pieces, a lot of staffing issues. You know, we have transited from the volunteer squad that we once were in really into more of a business that it is today. Again, you know, we are predominantly career. Our focus is to obviously be here whenever the call is, as that call line increases, that's challenging. We'd love to be able to staff that second unit more often, and if we move past those hours, which we're looking at some creative options of how to do that, how to pull volunteers into those. So there's always a lot going on. If anybody has any suggestions or thoughts or wants to volunteer, by all means, you can come on up. They always use for help. Is there any questions? Anything? Okay. As I said, you know, for me, it's been a lifetime with this squad, it seems like 40, almost 40 years, but in and out of the chief position and back in this leader, and always in some form of leadership role. For me, it becomes, what does the future look like? I'm not worried about today, I'm worried about 10 years from now. A lot of us that are volunteering, I don't anticipate us, who knows, maybe so, some of us won't be here in 10 years, some of us will be on other things, but you know, can we make it sustainable where we can afford to keep the staff, to keep the leadership where it is and be able to move it into the next generation and be here for the city and the county and all the areas around us? Because as I said, we're seeing the number of squads diminish and the demand becoming much higher. Yes. Well, again, thank you everyone for listening tonight, and feel free to any questions anytime.
Chief Lisa, thank you very much for the presentation. We're grateful for all of your service. I remember years ago when I went up with Pat, and sat with Pat in the squad for the first time, and it was just really overwhelmed by the stories of how many people have volunteered, how long people have volunteered, and how many nights and nights and nights people showed up to staff and to continue to you know, honor those commitments.
Thursday night for 25 years.
Amazing, right? Just amazing. So, thank you. We'll post this on the city website and I'll put a link to it in Lambertville Matters and,
Yeah,
Catherine.
just to add to what the chief was saying, and Lisa, we did, he and I were talking a little bit about you know, the need to kind of coordinate with the other municipalities, maybe talk to the county, you know, just this idea about how, as referenced, EMS is changing. We don't have the volunteer structure, there are financial needs. It's kind of an odd, like, government, you know, like, oversaw, you know, government oversees it. There's just a lot to it of how, you know, municipalities choose their EMS services, how we help out, and maybe it's time, like, particularly in the county, as there are more people moving out here and a lot more going on that, you know, with West Amwell, East Amwell, you know, the mayor and folks getting together with the county and, you know, talking a little bit about it and how are we gonna do this, and, you know, kind of try to get ahead of the curve. So, you know, I just thought that was a good, you know, a good approach, particularly when, you know, you guys are looking at all these different ways to try to, you know, I don't want to say survive, but operate, and how squads are going to operate in the future. So, you know, I'm happy to be like kind of a part of that. I think it would be a nice law, you know, and talk to the other, you know, mayors about it, or see what we can do.
Definitely. Taking on that, because that is certainly the direction I've been trying to reach towards. We definitely, you know, it's a little disheartening, you know, the state over the years has not considered EMS to be an essential service. And so there's just been no funding at that level, and you know, which now, and it's not, again, it's not just here, it's everywhere, it's just struggling. And you know, is this a technical skill, just like everything else technical, it's hard to find enough staff to do it, and then you know, the expectation is gonna be a bunch more pouring in, it's pretty slim, so.
Yeah, you all do a great job, you know, first responders, we need you, we love you, and I think it's great that the fire department chief and our police department, you all have been working together and talking to try to, you know, get the kinks out, and it'll be interesting to see now that you're coming back from you know, Antelope Valley, what we're.
Like I said, it's
how
we
we
use our
do that.
resources, you know, how do we, it's system status, how do we maintain the best system we can with all the resources that we have? Chief's been exceptional working with us. Lieutenant Brown, obviously, he's been, is a squad member and, you know, worked with for years, so we have a great relationship and we want to continue that and like I said, try to use those resources as best we can. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, resolutions, and there are three resolutions tonight. Let's talk briefly about them. So the first is to amend the contract with Gilmore for LSRP services down at Raleigh Park. There's additional testing that's been required. We're trying to get all of this work done before the end of the year so that we are able to realize our Green Acres money from that park and just reopen the park. So we're working on it and need a little bit more money for the LSRPs to kind of finish the testing and the submissions to the DEP. The second one is just fairly straightforward. St. John's Street repaving their parking lot. Part of the parking lot is actually a city right of way. It's called Blackwell's Court. This just authorizes them to pave Blackwell's Court. And then the last one is a resolution to authorize the donation of funds from our emergency funds, local food pantries. In light of the government shutdown, the governor's kind of state of emergency. So proposing that we take $5,000 out of the emergency fund here in Lambertville, which is completely financed by the donations from residents. So this fund started in the wake of Ida and was instrumental and very helpful to a lot of people in the community. We're still about $12,000 after this $5,000 has been removed, so we still have a nice bit of money in that account. But this seems like an appropriate moment to do something for people in our communities. I would also just note that tomorrow the county is having a drive-through distribution food bank at the county complex from 10 to 2. We just found that out today. I'm on a call with the county commissioners tomorrow to talk about that and the larger issue here in Hardin County with food insecurity. So we're trying to do what we can to help out. So unless there are any questions from the council on that, I would ask for a motion to approve the resolutions 174 through 176.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Thank you. We have this bills list tonight. It's composed of the two checks to the food banks and one other small bill.
Yeah, it's a reimbursement to workers' comp. They overpaid on one of our employees.
So I'm gonna make a motion to pay the bills. Is there a second? Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Next is a board appointment, which gives me a great pleasure to nominate Cindy Yan to the position of chairperson for the Environmental Commission, with a term expiring on 12/31/2028. And Cindy was the chair of that commission in olden days, when Mayor Dave was around. So she returns to that position with much gratitude for her work, and she's been continuously serving on that commission for how many years, Cindy, altogether? 8. All right. So I think we'd love to have you back in that position. So any comments on that or motion?
I think it's a great idea. So that's
Offers, huh?
Too, when we were talking about the environmental commission having more input into the planning board, he is our person on the planning board, so it makes logical sense for her to be at the, you know, at the helm. As I attended the environmental commission meeting, which, you know, we ran check plus, you know, it was great. We had a good time, and I hope after, you know, the environmental commission had the post Halloween cleanup, right?
Yeah,
So I hope it went well,
it did.
you know.
I was out there
Right,
with
right.
them. Yeah.
We had gloves, you know, we had stuff going on, but it was good.
So that's a second then.
Yes.
That's the second.
Thank
yeah.
you.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Cindy. So we have a few discussion items tonight. As I said earlier to Jeff, I'm just gonna, you know, keep the master plan going. This is kind of on the agenda This is really gonna be a 2026, early 2026 initiative. I'll just, a couple of notes about the master plan. It was last completed, re-examination report was last completed in 2019. And there have been some elements that have been updated through the years. Our zoning ordinances were codified back in 2016. The city's made some minor amendments to zoning ordinances, including stormwater management and the flood damage prevention ordinance. We will have introduced the November 20th meeting, some amendments to the zoning ordinances for overlay zones that affect affordable housing. So those will be amended, changes set aside from 15% to 20%. So we're currently working on that language, and we'll have those ready for introduction on November 20th. So farm market. Got some people here tonight. So we started talking about having a farm market last year. I've had these conversations with council. Lindsay's been instrumental in helping us set up kind of a system of an application, and city's been also very helpful in terms of getting us some foundational information. So we started having this conversation last year. We had some interest. We had 3 or 4 farms apply, but we just couldn't get it across the finish line. It's actually a pretty complicated thing to sort of get off the ground. So this year I've been lucky enough to find a few people here in the community to really help out. And 3 of them are here tonight. I saw that Tammy was here, but she's left. And I'm just going to introduce them, talk a little bit about kind of what we're doing over the next couple of months. So Tammy Lagoris is not here. So these are all Lambertville residents. Tammy's a journalist who's built a career turning curiosity into kind of conversation. And she's reporting for the New York Times, the metropolitan sections. And she's also a teacher at Montclair State University. Alexander Packman is here. He is famously known in my world as Sarah Gold's husband. He's a local economic development professional managing the public-private partnerships for the state of New Jersey Economic Development Authority. He's worked as an analyst on Wall Street, served with Peace Corps, and he holds a master's degree in economics from Princeton. So he's very interested in getting a local market up and running. Nate Storing, who I just recently met, who's here as well. He's the co-director at the Project for Public Spaces, which is a nonprofit organization that unlocks the power of public spaces to strengthen the well-being of communities around the world. So a remarkable resume here, and I'm super happy and glad to have you here. And lastly, Breezy Merringer, who's a farmer with a decade of experience in organic vegetable and livestock operations. So this is kind of the committee that's working on a farm market for next year. And just a couple of things I wanted to kind of highlight about what we're doing. We've met now a couple of times. We've looked at the library parking lot space, which is about 50 by 90 in terms of footage measurements. And we're looking at getting the market up and running next year from mid to late May through October. It'll be a Sunday morning market when the library is closed, and it'll operate probably from 9 to noon. And there's a lot going on here. We're working on applications, rules. We're looking at structures. We're trying to decide whether it's something that will be incorporated into a 501c3, or whether we can work with a couple of the other organizations here in town to, kind of provide some support in terms of just general support. So anyway, we're up and running. We're meeting again next week, and I'm happy to answer questions at any point. The council has access to a shared Google Drive with all of the information in it, and I'll be providing kind of regular updates about where we are. We're currently working on a mission. We'll be looking at hoping to get some vendors signed up by the end of this fall. This is really the time when you're looking for vendors. You want to catch them kind of at the end of the season when things are a little quieter, before they start planning for the next year, or as part of their planning for the next year. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I don't know if anybody has any initial questions from the council, but I'll be continuing to update everybody about our progress.
Your PowerPoint presentation was very informative. I didn't realize until I was able to have access to it, but your council got it before this meeting. And it's quite an organization, and your vendors I saw are all New Jersey folks on the vendor list that was circulated to us. So it was good to see that you're promoting Jersey Fresh in some aspects. So that's good. So yeah, sounds very exciting. You start in a small lot and you see where it expands to. So I can appreciate the time you're putting in, and I know it's something we talked about doing not only last year, but over many years.
Yes.
So, I look forward to it, working out to give that option to the people that can walk right to the library parking lot and experience, what you guys do. So thank you.
I would just add that, hopefully, if you, as it continues, it'd be great if we could move the Holcomb, if it gets bigger, the Holcomb Park there. It'd be a great way for people to utilize the property too and draw them there and give you guys a little bit more space. But we've got to do a couple more things before to make sure it's appropriate for that. But that would be great in the future if this works out.
Yeah, we're thinking big about this. We're starting small, but we're thinking big and long term, right? I know, is that a fair thing to say? I think it's got great potential as an idea, and I think our mission is really, we haven't really talked about our mission. We've gotten some submissions, but it really is going to be about community, about ways to enhance and continue to build community through wonderful food and other possible offerings. So thanks so much for coming tonight, guys. You're welcome to hang out with the rest of the meeting, or if you want to sit down now, if you manage to buy, you're welcome to do that as well. All right, moving on. Just briefly want to talk about the potential for a shared service agreement with West Amwell Township for court services. So this idea came up not that long ago, and talked to the court administrator and the judge about it. And it would be, talk to the mayor of West Amwell about it. There is some interest potentially in the efficiencies and the economies that would bring about as a result of a shared service agreement. It would be the court, we talked to the council members, we really need to be here in Lambertville just because of the pedestrian traffic that we get. We have very high traffic in our court, whereas West Amwell doesn't get a lot of traffic because a lot of their tickets are written for transient who are driving through West Amwell on 202 or whatever, right? So we have a much more active kind of court here. So the mayor of West Amwell said he was going to talk to his committee people about it a little later in the month. But I just wanted to throw it out as a general idea, something that we're considering, to see if there were any questions. And I'll certainly follow up with your council. It wouldn't necessarily have a big impact on Lambertville, other than a potential cost savings for one full-time position, as opposed to sharing one full-time position as opposed to having to pay for completely for one full-time position. So if you just want to stay tuned on that, I'll keep everybody apprised of that discussion. And then just moving on to the ordinance discussion item. So last meeting we talked about potential ways in which we could address the question of closed session minutes. So did really the council have a chance to kind of look at that ordinance language that Cindy proposed, in which the closed session minutes would be reviewed at the beginning of every year by the clerk and by the city attorney. Redactions that would be some redactions, obviously, for matters that were still need to be in closed session, and then when the minutes would subsequently be released. Everybody take a look at that. Everybody comfortable with that language? Is there anything that we wanted to discuss about Snyder? If we're ready, we'll bring the language, we'll bring the ordinance amendment forward at the meeting on the 20th. Are you good with that? Sure. Okay, great. We also talked about food license administration fees. So the county's revising their process for temporary food licenses and vendors. They'll obtain their inspections right from the county. This means that the county will no longer be charging municipalities for food inspections for temporary food licenses. The county is increasing inspection fees for annual food licenses, and they will be charging the city directly for their inspections. In light of these changes, Clerk's office is proposing a change in the fee schedule and the language to adjust to the new procedure. After some consideration and review of our process, The clerk's office is proposing a fee of $50 for all temporary food licenses and is amending the fees for the risk categories to cover the county fees and the fees for the clerk's time for issuance, postage and mailings, STL online system, and tracking of those who are late. So,
And what is it now? For temporary,
95. So right now it's 95, and the county will, it depends on your risk area as to how much they're going to charge $100 to $200, depending on where they fall. And that's for the temporary. And then for the annual, we currently charge 250. But there are 4 different risk areas. One starts at $100 and it goes all the way up to $400 from the county. That's really based on their inspections, on their risk factors. And so all we're proposing to do is take what the county's going to charge and add $50 to it to cover our fees. Which means that where you start with a risk factor 1, which is kind of like for liquor stores, and anybody who isn't who's selling processed food, it starts at $125. So we'll move that up to $175. And then there was, it goes, into tiers. The one that's mostly used is the risk 3. And that we currently charge $250. I think that's going up to $350 to cover inspection fees and our.
Okay.
We also were going to propose some stronger language that we have to run by the city attorney for those who still do not, even though we have late fees and we're trying to contact them on a regular basis, they're essentially operating without a food license. And food license term starts June 1, goes to May 31st. And we still have this year so far one place who has not renewed. And that's historic, and it's not always the same place, but we're always chasing a handful of people. But we're proposing that if by January 1 they don't renew, that their license is null and void. We have to make sure that Bill approves the language, but we just don't, it's Lindsay and I, we don't have the time to keep doing this, and the $50 late fees don't seem to matter.
Gotta add more keys to it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So we're gonna move forward with that language on the 20th.
yes.
Unless anybody has any substantial concerns with it now.
just as so we presented to the public and the people that are currently getting food licenses, why the increase is coming.
What we'll do is after it's introduced, you never want to do something until it's introduced, because what if it doesn't get introduced, right? We'll send out a letter to all of those, that are on our food list and notify them of the update.
So currently, we don't do any food inspections at all. The county's been doing them all.
Oh, all of the inspections come through the county because
County.
they've got the certified food handlers
And the county would bill the people directly
for the temporary,
for the temporary.
yes. But the annual will still go through us,
And
which is why our fee is going to be higher for the annual.
because they were getting billed directly, and now they're gonna bill us for them, and then we have to.
No, the county in the past, the best practice was they always billed the city, whether it was temporary or whether it was the annual. What happened was you have food trucks who will go in various different municipalities in the county. And then the county they're paying every municipality an inspection fee, the county has to inspect multiple times. And just to clean it up and make it easier for the vendors, they'll just go make an annual appointment with the county, pay the county the inspection fee, and that's just the temporary.
Mhm.
And that way, we'll get a list from the county, we'll know that they've been licensed through the county or inspected through the county, and then they can be licensed through us.
How does that affect the food vendors during the Shaft Festival?
They'll have to go to the county, all of their applications will need to go to the county before, which isn't really unlike what we've done in the past. What we usually do is gather all of the licenses, scan and send them to the county for them to review so that they're ready the day of to be inspected. Then once they'll just send their application directly to the county. And then will get involved. We still have some kinks to work out.
Yeah, this county, putting together like literature, like a literature on it, so then maybe we could like send that out.
Yep, we have it.
Like, yeah, you
We
know,
have a
just
big
to
mat.
explain the program along with the notice that it's gonna happen, and that, then of course, you know, they could come here for the, to comment on the ordinance, but
Yeah,
yeah, they did have, I mean, the county was trying to do this. You know, to kind of also, you know, help it consolidate, because there are so many, because of tourism, and there are so many festivals. It's not more for the, you know, restaurants that are, you know, locked down, but the amount of food trucks and festivals and tourism, to try to get it to be able to have, you know, them centralized, and then municipalities be able to.
the county has held
progress.
the shared services with municipal representation. We've met with them twice now. And actually sent them our sample ordinance, which they sent back with comments so we could adjust.
Cool.
So we've been working hand in hand. Can't say enough about Carl Hobbs and Rebecca Lunger. They're really fantastic. at the county.
They have been, that whole department has been for several, well, for very long.
Yes, for a very long time, and they're really just such a great resource, so, you know, we're anticipating that after the first year, we're probably going to have to tweak it a little bit. But, you know, we still have to get something on the book so we can move forward.
I think just as long as whatever you send, whatever they give us
Mhm.
from the county and what we do, we should make sure that the chamber president's involved or CC'd on
Yeah.
the changes, because they'll be doing their outreach and
Yeah, yeah.
food vendors.
So we'll make sure that everybody who has in the past either held a special event or who has, you know, applied for a food license receives our.
Oh, good. Well, you have that record. Oh, great. So, terrific.
Good, so, it's good to see that, coming up in November, also a couple of, changes, proposed changes to, licensing fees for, animals, $15, to $20, and with a $25 late fee, move to $30, correct?
Correct. And
Um,
then just some minor tweaks to the language in the ordinance, where, with regard to ownership of an animal. So if you own an animal, it runs at large, you know, the ACO puts it into, you know, wherever they keep the animal. We won't pay for it, the boarding fees will be the responsibility of the owner, same for vet bills. Just really clarifies that language a little bit.
and while we're talking about, this, can you just update us, what's on my mind about, landlord registration and summonses for, we've got some people that are.
Yes.
So do this every year, we talk about, landlord registrations and, something to track people down, late fees and on and on and on. Here we are in November, and
We spend an awful lot of time, Lindsay spends an awful lot of time on it. And now we're down to the wire, and she's been working with the new construction official, Paul, who is fantastic. And Lindsay, how many are we down to now?
We're down to 10.
10.
10. So,
They're going to court.
going to court.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah, we went to
Yeah.
court last year.
this is what we did last year.
Good.
Yeah.
And you know what, you get down to the wire, and when most people see that it's a mandatory court appearance, they pay.
They've had.
Although we did have one last year who did not. Okay, I think we had one, out of everything, so our goal is to get 100% compliance.
Thank you. Just a few announcements tonight. Veterans Day is Tuesday, it's coming Tuesday the 11th. All city offices will be closed. The annual budget hearings will be held, here next Thursday, November 13th, beginning at 9:30 a.m. This is a great opportunity for members of the public who are interested in learning more about, how the municipal budget is established and departmental budgets to come and listen. All the department heads will be, here throughout the course of the day, talking with the CFO and the budget consultant about what their anticipated, budgets will be for 2026. Turkey trot will be held on Thursday, November 27th on Thanksgiving. So please come out for that. The annual tree lighting on Monday, December 1st, 6 p.m. and the menorah lighting will be held on December 17th. At about County. That's it for announcements. I'll finish up to the second public participation period, same rules as before, 3 minutes. Please state your name, your address, for the record.
Evening, Paul, 39 40th Street. Question on all these fees. Do these late fees escalate, like, or are they the same no matter how long they go? Because it sounds like you're spending a lot of time chasing down people. And I don't understand, like, all right, 1 month late, double, 2 months late, 3 months late, they don't get the license, they can't reapply for it for a year.
They do increase. It's $50.
Okay, it's 50 all the time. Yeah, but I mean.
Plus 50, plus 50, they accumulate.
Okay, that's good, but then, I mean, like, all right. 3 months, don't let it drag out for the year, I mean, come on. Let's enforce things, give people pay.
We all like his thinking. We gotta figure out.
I know.
something.
You want to spend some volunteer hours or anything?
Right. We're.
That's really, yeah.
I think that's.
No broken knees, please. Wow.
Where's your Halloween costume?
Right.
That's right. That's right. Anyone else in the room? Anyone online? Oh, yeah, it's all quiet. All right. I'll make a motion to close on the time. Give me a second. That's all in favor? Aye. And the sound, I will motion to adjourn the meeting. So. Second. All in favor? Aye. Good board, everyone. Thanks for coming, folks. Good to see you all. I think everybody should take this.